Do you know what a putage is? No? You mean you've never seen his white smile and shining blue eyes? You've really never seen his cute judo uniform with a black belt? What a shame. Well, say hello to your child's new favorite toy. Although maybe your dog's. But do you recognize who this is? It looks just like Putin when he was the Leningrad judo champion. This toy was spotted at the World Youth Festival in Sochi.
Дорогие друзья, я хочу, чтобы вы знали.
Dear friends, I want you to know that all of Russia is your friend now. Our doors are always open to you and your noble endeavors.
You might be asking yourself, how could it be an international festival? Hasn't Russia been in global isolation since its invasion of Ukraine in 2022? Well, yes and no. Having turned its back on Europe, the Kremlin is actively looking for friends, both to the east and to the south. We already talked about Russia's seemingly most important ally, China, in a previous episode, so don't forget to watch it after this one. But is only one friend enough, especially if you are in conflict with the world's biggest economies?
The World Youth Festival at the Syria summer camp made Russians feel proud for their country. 85% expressed confidence that despite the hostile attitude of Western politicians to our country, young people from all over the world are still interested in Russia.
Hi, this is Valeria Ratnikova and the Fake News program, in which we combat Russian propaganda. Today we're going to talk about figures who continue to be friendly with the Kremlin, despite the big war unleashed by Russia. And we'll also find out if they are really friends. Let's dive in. Thousands of people from 190 countries. In March, the southern Russian city of Sochi became the hotspot for intercultural communication. For example, Vladimir Solovyov, already well known to you as a general of the Kremlin's propaganda army, quotes Ibrahim Nawaf from Syria. The propagandist calls him an international journalist and media expert.
Why do we as foreigners love Russia? Basic human values. Practically, they are not preserved in any country in the world like in Russia. Russia should be the mother who will breastfeed the whole world with these traditions, if I may say so.
I wonder, how objective is Ibrahim? After all, he praises not only Russia as a country, but also the Russian regime. Ibrahim graduated from Patrice Lumumba People's Friendship University of Russia. He has received an award from the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, and he also works for Sputnik and Russia Today, which are sponsored by the Russian government. So you can't really call him an international journalist and media expert, can you? At least not an unbiased one. Aside from Ibrahim, all of the festival participants that the Kremlin-loyal media spoke to praised Putin and even wore merch with his portrait.
I will vote for Vladimir Putin.
Experience just to meet to this very important person. This could be historical, I think.
Un evento bastante importante.
Putin admirers who came to Sochi lucked out. The Russian leader himself graced them with a visit to the festival. He addressed the general public, as well as personally met with a select few participants.
A participant of the festival with such a hairstyle then calmed down another participant who, after a joint photo with Putin, became very emotional.
A sizzling hot report by Chief Kremlin reporter Pavel Zarubin. He documents the Kremlin master's every move and laughs at his every joke. All the more so when Vladimir Putin, who spent the entire COVID pandemic in isolation and still fears meetings with people who have not been tested, is meeting face-to-face with foreigners.
She ended up greeting the president like this: "Hello, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin," without a single slip of the tongue. However, she firmly told those who jumped up to her while she was being photographed with the president, no, I want to be the only one in the picture with him. She wants to be the only one.
As you can see, this World Youth Festival has become a very significant event for the public image of the Kremlin, so much so that some participants were even taken to tour Ukraine, those regions that are now occupied by Russia. Never mind the fact that this is actually a war zone.
Финишная экскурсия по восстановленному мемориалу.
Final excursion to the restored memorial complex, Austria Grave. Here, the participants of the festival could learn the history of modern defenders of the fatherland, fighters of the special military operation, and to honor the memory of those who died fighting for their homeland.
The main propagandist achievement of the festival. American participants, people from the country Vladimir Putin considers his nemesis. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova even made a special note of it. We welcome everyone. Unlike the West, the official appealed directly to the US ambassador to Russia, Lynn Tracy.
Lynn, stop lying and support your fellow citizens. Here in Sochi, at the World Festival, American youth expressed their desire to be friends with Russia. Maybe you will finally personally receive in the embassy not those who are against Russia, but those who support it, especially since they are American citizens. Would you dare?
Something to note, however. The American youth that Zakharova writes about is represented by a couple of little-known activists. This guy with the flag is Christopher Halali from Vermont, member of the Communist Party USA, a fringe group that supported the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Or here's Caleb Maupin, a socialist and Stalinist associated with the Russia Today employee. All in all, they are hardly representative of the American people. But if they support Putin and they are foreigners, they will be warmly welcomed by the Kremlin. If you thought that the World Youth Festival was the only international event in Russia, you were mistaken. The Kremlin is also looking for economic, military, and political partners in Africa. Last summer, delegations from most countries of the continent came to St. Petersburg. The Russia-Africa Summit was held in the same place as the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, once an important conference for everyone, including Western businessmen, but not anymore.
The negotiations were reminiscent of an endless carousel with only the interior changing.
State media are enthusiastically reporting how guests from Africa are learning from the Russian experience, looking at locally made drones and cannons. These images show guests from Burkina Faso, where the country's president, along with their military junta, came to power in the fall of 2022, after the second coup that year. And despite the fact that Putin does not like coups at all, for example, he considers the revolution in Ukraine in 2014 a coup which somehow, in his head, justifies the invasion, still, delegations from Burkina Faso are welcomed and shown all the novelties of the Russian military-industrial complex.
Here's a shining example of representatives of African nations' interest in Russian weaponry. They'd been studying our weaponry for an hour.
By the way, just before his death, even Yevgeny Prigozhin managed to pop in at the Russia's Africa Summit. His Wagner group supported more than one revolution favorable to the Kremlin in African countries. But now his name has been erased in state Russian media, and therefore they will not cover this side of the military cooperation between the Kremlin and African countries. But the favorite of almost all state TV cameras and the summit is a diplomat from Guinea. Check out his t-shirt.
I can't go on without him. My heart aches. I need this t-shirt so that my heart rate can go back to normal.
In honor of the friendship between Russia and Africa, the main news channel even made a big movie. An employee of the TV channel Russia 24 went to the Congo to show that everyone there loves the Kremlin dictator. As proof, caricatures by local artists. The pictures of Western politicians. Try to find the leaders of Germany and France here and appreciate the sense of humor of these cartoonists for yourself.
Эти люди ничего не делают, кроме как манипулировать.
These people do nothing but manipulate the population. So we as the agency of young artists in Kinshasa, and I as the national coordinator of the agency say, we don't want this in our country anymore.
Vladimir Putin is ready to make generous gifts to his friends from African countries. So right at the summit, he announced that Russia will supply African countries with 25 to 50,000 tons of grain free of charge, and will also cancel their debts totaling $23 billion. Generous, isn't it?
Я знаю, что многие в этом зале
I know that many people in this hall do not drink alcoholic beverages, but nevertheless, by tradition, I would like to propose a toast to your health, to strengthening our cooperation in all the aspects I have mentioned, to Africa's prosperity, and to the Russian-Africa friendship.
But despite the hospitality and generosity of the Russian government, far fewer leaders came to the Russian-Africa Summit in 2023 than in 2019, when it was held for the first time, before the big war. 17 in 2023 instead of 45 in 2019. As you may have already realized by now, with the invasion of Ukraine, Russia has revised its view of the world map. Trade and economic relations are no longer centered on Europe and the United States. One of the favorite concepts of Russian diplomacy nowadays is the Global South. It includes Africa, Central and South America, and Asia. The Kremlin sees it as a bulwark of traditional values and opposition to the West. The Kremlin master sees himself as one of, if not the main, leader of this group of countries.
It is no less important to note that now Russia and African countries together advocate the formation of a just, multipolar world order based on the principles of sovereign equality of states, non-interference in their internal affairs, and respect for the right of peoples to determine their own destiny.
A large international organization that for the Russian government symbolizes the Global South is BRICS, analog of the G7, from which Russia was excluded after the annexation of Crimea in 2014. According to officials and propagandists, while Europe is withering away, BRICS is the future of the world, both economically and morally.
Washington needs African countries only to pit them against Russia and China. The Jordanian newspaper Al-Anbad says that BRICS is shaping a new world order. Countries have formally expressed interest in joining BRICS.
However, Vladimir Putin himself was unable to attend the latest meeting of BRICS members in South Africa. The hermit of the Kremlin almost never leaves the country because the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for his arrest. Instead of the head of state, the foreign minister went. State media covered it in extreme detail.
When the journalists suddenly asked for another handshake after the handshake and also to raise their hands, Lavrov's reaction caused an explosion of laughter among the leaders. Good thing they didn't ask for a dance. The summit lasted for hours, but simultaneously, other important issues were being resolved unnoticed by the audience.
Today there are 9 countries in BRICS. 2 countries, Saudi Arabia and Argentina, refused to join in 2024. The Russian government calls such institutions as BRICS a pillar of the multipolar world and sees them as absolute friends. But there is one awkward detail. The Kremlin's current agenda is only shared by a handful of countries. For example, when in April the UN General Assembly demanded that Russia withdraw its troops from Ukraine, 141 countries voted in favor of the resolution and only 5 against. Not many countries want to support a war of aggression.
Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin is a man who can maintain relations with very contradictory leaders. There is a clear demand in the world for justice, for a new vision of the world, and unobtrusive leadership.
Well, that's all for now. Thank you for watching this episode of Fake News, the show where we fight Russian propaganda. Don't forget to like this video and also try to guess in the comments which 5 countries are the Russian leaders' closest friends. Subscribe to our channel for more independent journalism. Bye for now, and I'll see you soon for more insanity.